Well, welcome back, fellow YouTubers, toy and toy train buffs, to another running session out here in the cave on the Milwaukee Northwestern. First of all, thank you to all my new subscribers. Appreciate you. Hope you enjoy the channel. This here is our annual Veterans Day run, and this year we're running Air Force. Air Force is near and dear to my heart, as I am an Air Force veteran, 36 years total. Active duty, contractor, GS civilian. So yes, the only trick to doing Air Force consists like this is they don't have as much of a selection, but if you look, there's enough pieces out there to put together a decent consist. And the engines themselves tend to be a little expensive. MTH makes, I believe, 3 different diesel switchers. This VO1000, a 44 tonner, and I believe another one. Lionel also put out an Air Force diesel switcher. Now, what surprised me about this whole Air Force thing was that even though I put so many years in the Air Force, I never knew the Air Force ran railroad equipment. None of my jobs put me in contact with that part of the Air Force, and it could very well be that the bases I was stationed at, they didn't have any of this equipment. You know, I never saw it. And so anyway, that being said, the biggest surprise came when I was researching this. I knew that MTH put out the switchers, and at first I thought those were fantasy schemes, until I found a website that listed the Air Force inventory as of 1960, which is about the time frame that I want this layout to be set in. Close enough, right? As of 1960, the Air Force had 162 locomotives and 394 cars, and 44 locomotive cranes, as the author listed on his website. And I saw that, I go, holy Toledo. I didn't know we had that kind of equipment, that much. So, okay. The bottom line is the MTH versions of this are kind of expensive. So what I ended up doing was buying a shell for like 80 bucks, and then buying a kind of a junker. The junkiness comes not with its operating characteristics. Everything worked on it, but the cosmetics. They were a challenge. This frame, this chassis, had this New York Central shell on, with what looks like duct tape on the roof there. And it looks like a couple splotches of paint or something on the top. So I don't get that. The shell is jacked up, as well as the pilot steps in front, which are cast into the frame. It's all die cast. See on this one? All right. Those steps are all part of the frame. But I bought this as a junker, and the pilot is, I've got the pieces. The pilot's in pieces. All right. But in the last few years, I had bought a few cars that I totally forgot I bought. Some tankers, flat cars, and anyway, that allowed me to put together a bit longer consist. So, without further ado, without further ado, let's do what we do. Run trains, for me and for you. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah. This is a custom job. It was Santa Fe, and is now, the owner customized it to Western Pacific, and he added smoke right here. Okay, so that's kind of cool. I was going to use this as my Air Force engine. However, look where the smoke comes out. Look where the smokestack is on the Air Force shell. Yeah, the two don't really match up well. If you put this shell on this chassis, smoke comes out of the bottom like it's on fire. Not cool. Let me clear that Air Force train. The sounds work, everything worked. Like I said, what was wrong with this engine was cosmetic. It's a toy. Brand new for this year, for me, is this Menards flat car with power wagon load. Oh. Well, let's bring her on home. Alrighty then. Okay. That is this year's Veterans Day run featuring United States Air Force engine and consist. Thank you to all my fellow veterans out there. Appreciate you. Appreciate it. Thank you for your service. And until next time, bye y'all.